Hi giraffes, I have a book called Caps for Sale for you, and it was told and illustrated by someone named Esphyr Slobodkina. And why do you think it says told and illustrated instead of written and illustrated? I had to think about that for a second, and I think that because it says told and illustrated, it means that this person, Esphyr Slobodkina, is telling a story that he or she knew from a long time ago. So this story is so old maybe that nobody knows who the author is, kind of like a fairy tale or a folk tale. Anyway, it's called Caps for Sale, and it's a tale of someone called a peddler. If we were in class, I would be saying, please raise your hand if you can tell me what a peddler is. And I don't know what might come to your mind, but a peddler is a name for someone who is selling something. Selling food or selling boxes or anything. And in this book, Caps for Sale, the peddler is this guy up in the tree, and he is selling caps. These things right here, caps that go on your head. So, sorry for explaining so much, but I felt like I had to. Caps for sale. And I'll read the page and then show you the picture best I can. Once there was a peddler who sold caps. But he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then he had a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he could not sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He's pretty good at balancing those caps on his head. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. See him stretching. Do you see a problem in this picture? But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Now, there's one direction he hasn't looked in yet. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? Can you guess? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. Can you believe this? The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. And then finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Psst, psst, psst." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Psst, psst, psst." Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." Now by this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." How is he ever going to get these caps back? At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap, and all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Cups, cups for sale, 50 cents a cup." The end. I hope you like that story. That's one that I like a lot. I found it on my bookshelf. We wish you well, we wish you well. All through the day today, we wish you well. See you next time, giraffes.